mouth. 2 balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. It's his way back. Walk the ball. Chris Taylor.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today by Matt Moreno. Matt, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Any new Dodger gear that you added to your collection this Christmas?
Merry Christmas. No, not this year. I know some of our followers did, and that was great to see. I think even some people had Dodgers-themed Christmas trees, which we don't do, my wife and I don't do, but those are always fun to kind of see pictures of.
Love it. All right. Well, if you're the Dodgers owners, a little bit of news surfaced this week that maybe wasn't what you wanted to be thinking around the holidays, which is the Dodgers have a big fat luxury tax bill to pay. The Dodgers have the highest payroll in the league last year, just over $285 million. It was actually the second highest payroll in Major League Baseball history, behind the 2015 Dodgers. And so the AP is reporting that's going to cost the Dodgers about $32.65 million in luxury taxes, as well as 10 spots in the draft order. So their 30th pick moves back to their 40th pick. Some brief history. I mean, people talk about how much the Dodgers spend, which is obviously a fair assessment. They were over the luxury tax from 13 to 17. They did drop under 18, 19, and 20 before going up this year. What do you make of $32.65 million, highest payroll in Major League Baseball, second highest payroll ever, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, well, first, the actual luxury tax bill is obviously it's a bit astronomical, and it's probably not what ownership would prefer to have to pay. But they've shown a willingness to spend, especially under Guggenheim since they took over. And Andrew Friedman is asked about payroll every single season, either in spring training or if at the trade deadline, if they add somebody or if they sign someone during the offseason. And he basically says, it's always a fluid situation. There's no mandate from ownership that says, hey, you need to stay below the luxury tax for this specific year. I'm a little bit skeptical. I think there have been times where maybe they have said, let's try to reset the penalties because obviously they get more punitive if you're a repeat offender in terms of luxury tax. Like you just said, the Dodgers aren't for this year. So it's kind of, it's one big check in. You move. I think, honestly, for a team like the Dodgers, moving back 10 spots in the draft might be almost impactful because I think we've seen they really value, draft picks and who they can select and this and that. And they've succeeded, that route as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously it impacts your budget too. I mean, it's not just that you're getting the 40th best player and not the 30th best player. It's that your total amount of money that you can spend on your draft pool has decreased as well. One question I wanted to ask you, I look at these numbers, $285 million. You and I both, Dodger fans everywhere, we get hit with this all the time. Oh, they're buying championships, big money, blah, 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 right? Like, we're supposed to feel bad for the Marlins and the Rays and the teams that don't spend any money, that actually pocket sort of the wealth spreading going on in baseball. Does that kind of stuff bother you? I'm just curious. When we talk about a team spending as much as the Dodgers, does it bother you when people talk about how much the Dodgers spend? Or do you say, hey, who cares? My team is spending, your team isn't. That's a you problem and not a me problem.
Yeah, it's never had much impact on me. I mean, if you really look at it, heading into this past season, and one of the reasons they did exceed the luxury tax was, they re-signed Justin Turner. You go back a handful of years, they got him on a minor league contract. It wasn't, they didn't go and buy him several years ago. They signed him to a minor league deal, and he then played his way into 2 lucrative contracts with the team. And, frankly, he was a free agent and he had other suitors and he chose to come back. Mookie, they're paying Mookie Betts, obviously. The Boston Red Sox could have done that. They decided to trade him and pay part of David Price's salary for the Dodgers to take that on. And then the Dodgers got, smartly, in my opinion, got an extension done with Mookie Betts last year. And I think, obviously, Cody Bellinger going through the arbitration process, his salary has increased a little bit, stuff like that. He's somebody who's homegrown. Walker Buehler, Julio Urias, like they'll go through that same thing. They're also homegrown. Max Muncy is another, sort of Justin Turner type. He was thinking about, quitting baseball and walking away before the Dodgers came with a minor league contract. And now he played his way into becoming an all-star. So, it's not just, oh, the Dodgers are going and, paying all these superstar players who become free agents and that's how they assemble a team. So, no, it has no impact. And I think it's also a bit of a false narrative. Like, it's not saying they just buy championships, first of all, is incorrect because unfortunately, they've only won 1 World Series since.
And they were under the tax the year they won it.
Right. So, it's a bit of a false narrative.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, the Dodgers is fascinating. If you look back I can only think of two big contracts that the Dodgers have handed out to true free agents, to guys who had not come from within, not a re-signing, but a signing of a new player. The only two players are AJ Pollock and Trevor Bauer. When we're talking big, like I'm not talking about like Daniel Hudson, Andrew Heaney. I mean, like Blake Trinan, I guess maybe falls into
Right.
that category a little bit. But the thing is like when they just re-signed Chris Taylor and Max Muncy and Justin Turner, when they re-signed Kenley Jansen, 4 or 5 years ago, however long that was, they're just re-signing their guys. Now that's sort of a false narrative in its own because they trade for Mookie Betts and extend him. So some of that stuff, but I'm with you. I mean, it doesn't bother me. Like, as long as we win the World Series, I don't feel worse about it. It's like when people say, oh, it's a fake trophy, asterisk World Series. I'm like, you know what? It didn't feel like any of that to me. And so whatever you want to say about it is fine because I remember watching the moment that Julio Urias got the last out. And I remember what it felt like going through the entire postseason and winning the World Series and buying tons of World Series gear. So I really don't care about what other people say. I just want to win World Series. And plus, I think the last thing that's worth saying, every team in baseball is making money. So like the teams that are not
Yeah.
spending money, it's like, congratulations, your owners are just profiting at your expense. Whereas Dodger owners at least are spending some of the money that they're earning from being the owners of the Dodgers and investing it into the team. And so I think we should be more critical of the teams that aren't spending than the teams that are spending personally. Now you could say that's because I'm a Dodger fan and biased, and you might be right, but here we are. So anyways, the headline here, Dodgers owe $32.65 million in luxury taxes. I agree with you, Matt. The bigger deal here is that the Dodgers also lose 10 spots in their first pick, so it goes from 30th to 40th overall. It doesn't appear as if they will be dipping below the luxury tax next year, so they will be a repeat offender. I believe they're already over it, and we haven't even talked about some of the Freddie Freeman types that they might try and add in addition to the guys that they've already signed. So stay tuned for that. As always, DodgerBlue.com will have the latest. Dodger Blue 1958 on social media, Instagram, Twitter, and of course here at YouTube, ring the notification bell as well. That's Matt Moreno. My name is Jeff Spiegel. We appreciate you guys joining us. We'll see you next time.